Alright, what is going on, everybody? Pretender here, back with another Honkai starter guide, and today I'll be talking about if you should summon for Sparkle and Sparkle's Lightcone. So I already do have a build guide on my channel along with a video going over her best team, so you can definitely check that out if you are curious. So I'm pretty much briefly going to be going over her kit, briefly going over characters that she is really good with, briefly going over characters she is not that greatest with, and there are better options. And then I'll be talking about if she is a character that you want, and I'll also be going over if she's a character that you can safely skip. Now before I get into the video, if you guys can drop a sub and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with build guides, summons, showcases, discussions, all other kinds of guides and news would be greatly appreciated. And let's get straight into the video. So Sparkle is a character that follows the path of harmony, and her type is Quantum. So the main thing she does is she works similar in a way to Bronya, but she fixes the issues of skill points. Going over her skill briefly, she does increase crit damage off her skill based on her own, and also gives the person you use a skill on a action forward by 50%. And now we get to the territory where she really shines by fixing skill points. Her ult, when you pop it, you get 4 skill points for the team and grants everyone Cypher. Everyone with Cypher. Each attack with the damage effect provided by Sparkle's talent increases by 10%, lasting for 2 turns. Moving on to the talent, because that's where this main stuff is. When she's on the battlefield, additionally increases the max number of skill points by 2. So instead of having 5 skill points, if Sparkle is on the field, you have 7. Whenever an ally consumes 1 skill point, all allies' damage increases by 6%. So this is going to be great for a majority of DPS characters, because practically everyone will want to spam their skill. There's obviously a few exceptions, but for the most part of the game, most people want to spam their skill. And now with the ult, that increases the effect. It can last for 2 turns and can stack up to 3 times. So with these together, you are getting a overcap on your skill points by 2, so now you have 7, and with the ult you recover 4 skill points. These two alone pairing together, obviously for the most part you will build her with an ER rope, helping her keep her ult uptime pretty much just up. It will be really easy to manage skill points with Sparkle on the team. Her technique also does help with skill points, because besides the misdirect and enter the battle, misdirect state recovers 3 skill points for the team. So if you do have the skill active, you go to the thing, you, instead of starting with 3 skill points, you get the overcap and you start with 6 skill points. And now just briefly talking over the last thing about her bonus ability. So she does unconditionally give all allies a 15% attack increase. And now for her main thing that a lot of people are concerned about, thinking she is more restrictive to the Quantum team. But I'm going to say right now, just because of this, she is not restrictive to the Quantum team. She still gives you a 15% attack boost, and her entire kit is so good to the point you can negate this. When there are 1, 2, 3 Quantum allies on the team, additionally increases Quantum allies' attack by 5, 15, and 30%. So you have to have other Quantum allies besides Sparkle, because Sparkle doesn't count herself. So if you have Sparkle and another Quantum type allies, Quantum attack for them increases by 5%. With 2 becomes 15. With 3 becomes 30. And so a lot of people are like, oh, she is Quantum restricted, oh, I can't use her, I'm gonna skip her because I don't use Quantum. No. Trust me, you can just ignore this entirely. Her kit does so much to the point you really do not even need to worry about this. So now, moving on to characters that she is going to be really good with. So if you are a main of these characters or use these characters a lot, let's start with IL Donning. So IL Donning is known for being the skill point spammer, because the way he works is he enhances his basic attack by using these skills. And so Sparkle is a fantastic, probably best partner for Donning, fixing the skill point issue because she just gives so much, allowing Donning to just spam and spam and spam. IL Donning mains definitely would recommend Sparkle if you are a main for this guy, because he is insanely good for him. So I'm just going to start by saying, if you use Donning a lot, she is going to be one of your best partners, because again, you can enhance your basic attack once, twice, and thrice. Obviously, every time you enhance it, uses 1 skill point, assuming you do not have any of the charges that the ult and such provide. Going from no stacks, if you enhance once, 1 skill point, twice, 2 skill points, and thrice, 3 skill points. And you usually want it to be at the highest level, because that's where his damage really shines. And so Sparkle is a crazy good option. And another very good option that she'll have a staple on is the Mono Quantum team, consisting of the main DPS being Xaylia or QQ. I'm not going to go over the other characters because it's pretty obvious. Sparkle will be a new staple on the team, and that is because Monoquantum overall, just because of the DPSs, especially QQ, because QQ also works similar to Donning. But Donning, he guaranteed when you hit the skill and you enhance it, you just enhance it, you're not locked behind RNG. With QQ, you do need to pop your skill and roll to get the basic attack to become the blast. And so every time you roll that consumes 1 skill point, you can get really lucky and get it right away, or you can get really unlucky and just have it keep going and going and going. There is a clip circulating around where someone had 8 skill points because of the dupes on Sparkle and burned through all 8 and did not get a roll on her. Very, very unlikely, but it is possible. So Sparkle gives her so many skill points, so it helps so much, negating the fact that you need to burn through so many. So for the most part, with Sparkle, you can practically almost always get the blast if you are not extremely unlucky. Your QQ damage output goes up a ton. With Zele, you practically always want to be spamming her skill because her skill is her main selling point due to the fact that it increases speed. All that kind of stuff have uptime on the increased speed. That's practically all it is. And then obviously her ult is a single target nuke, pretty much. But yeah, because the skill is something you want to be spamming due to its effects and how much damage it does, and obviously how it ties into the rest of her kit, Sparkle pretty much helps you spam the skill every single time because Sparkle gives you so many skill points. Obviously, you burn even more when you proc the talent when you enter the buff state upon defeating an enemy and receive an extra turn. So if you skill, that's 1 skill point gone, you kill someone, you get the resurgence proc, and you have to use the skill again pretty much. You could use a basic, but it's way better to use a skill. And so Zele herself is a very skill hungry character, and so Sparkle does help a ton with that. And with that, Sparkle becomes a staple on the Monoquantum team, even if you're running QQ or Zele regardless. And as I mentioned previously, as Sparkle does recover skill points, provide overcap, and increase the hell out of your crit damage and stuff, characters that benefit from spamming their skill, which again is practically every DPS, gets a 50% action forward with the skill and a crit damage increase and a damage increase and an attack increase. Characters like Jingwan also do benefit from this because the 50% action forward helps you pop your skill more, the skill points being provided to you helps you spam the skill more, so you can pair it with the ult more and have your Lightning Lord uptime even higher. And obviously this does apply to other characters that might use their skill a lot, such as Argenti. When you don't have his ult, you have to use the skill to get that energy. And there are times you might run out of skill points with that, not with Sparkle, and now you have energy. So this begs the question, should you summon for Sparkle? If you follow these categories, then I think you should definitely summon. You are a Monoquantum main, you are a IL Danheng main, you do not have other characters that are Harmony and good buffers such as Ruan Mei, Bronya, all that kind of stuff, or you are looking for a Harmony buffer for your second team. Sparkle fits all those roles perfectly, but now we beg the question of if you should not summon. Before I get into that, talking about characters that she might not be the greatest with, going over really quickly is Blade. Before I get into this, she is still really good with Blade due to the fact of what she provides of damage and crit damage, but her main selling point is the fact she fixes skill, letting you output more damage. Blade, you only have to pop his skill once every 3-ish turns. And so practically running a team with Sparkle and Blade, if you aren't running a dual DPS setup with them, you practically do not need to have Sparkle's overcap and providing skill points because you will have so many. To the point they are just kind of sitting there. Obviously having your skill point just there for anything else is really good, but you probably would benefit for something like having someone like Bronya instead with Blade, because she can use the skill points, give him an extra turn, still give him a bunch of buffs, give him a cleanse, all that kind of stuff. That also does apply to someone like Jinglu, because pretty much you want to just pop a skill twice, and then you go into the transform state, and then you don't have to use skill points until you're out of the transform state. Again, Sparkle is still really good with these guys, especially if you're rocking them together or as a dual DPS setup. She is still really good with it, but there are just better options. Now for if you shouldn't summon, if you do follow these following criterias, you are pretty much safe to skip. 1, you do not main any of the teams that are really skill point hungry, such as Monoquantum and IL Danheng. 2, you are not in need of another Harmony buffer. And 3, you already have your Harmony buffer setups set for both of your teams. And I guess as 4, if you already have your skill point management set and you don't have to really worry about running out of skill points on your teams, be it with already good planning on your rotations, or if your second team or first team is Blade / Jinglu. And so those are the criteria I think if you should and shouldn't summon for Sparkle. For the most part, most people want it. I get it. Acheron, Aventurin, they're coming next update. They are broken. They are so cool. Yes, but supports are so important in this game. So I definitely would not overlook Sparkle just because a crazy new shiny character is coming up, because she is a new crazy shiny character. She is insanely good. But enough about Sparkle. Now if you should summon for her Lightcone. So her Lightcone will obviously be her best in slot. What it does for her is crazy good. So going over what it does is increase the warrior's crit damage by 32%, so you have a stat stick for your Sparkle because she does give a better crit damage buff based on her own. At the start of the battle, the wearer gains mask, lasting for 3 turns. While the wearer has mask, the wearer's allies have their crit rate increased by 10% and their crit damage increased by 28%. So with mask active, you are not only getting a crit damage stat stick, you are now giving your allies more crit damage and some crit rate. For every 1 skill point the wearer recovers, including skill points that exceed the limit, they gain 1 stack of Radiant Flame, and when the wearer has 4 stacks of Radiant Flame, all stacks are removed and they gain mask, lasting for 4 turns. So the more skill points she does recover, it makes it easier to gain back Radiant Flame stacks. And with Radiant Flame stacks, once you have 4, you gain mask again, boom, you now have this buff active again. So this is really easy with her, and this is a massive increase to her value in my opinion, but there are still alternatives. I'm only going to be going over one alternative for this video because I have other videos where I talk about alternatives such as the build guide that you can definitely check out if you are curious. But a really good alternative is Brody's signature Lightcone because it increases the wearer's regeneration rate by 10% and regenerates 1 skill point every time the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally. And since you use a ultimate on your entire team, you pretty much always will be getting this. This effect can only be triggered once after every 2 uses of the wearer's ultimate. And obviously with the increased regeneration rate, obviously better time on your ult, very good. When the wearer uses their skill, the next ally taking action except the wearer deals 30% more damage for 1 turn. So you definitely need to tune this a bit to when you pop the skill on your DPS and you give them the 50% action forward. You do definitely want to make sure that they will be the next one attacking, and for the most part that is not difficult. So this is a really good option for her. And now going over if you should summon for it. So the criteria I think you should summon for it is if you are very much interested in investing into Sparkle and you plan on using her on a bunch of teams and in most content, because she will practically be a very good option in almost all the content in the game we have currently. And if you plan on using her a bunch, I definitely would recommend getting her Lightcone just because it gives so much value, not only getting a stat stick for a better buff, the mask effect being easy to get back if you don't have it, and giving all your allies more crit damage and giving them 10% crit rate. The value on this Lightcone is very good. And now begging the question if you shouldn't summon for it. If you do not think you have enough currency, obviously that applies to most things. So if you don't think you can get it, but you think you can barely scrape enough for Sparkle herself, there are alternatives even if you don't have Brody's Lightcone, such as some 4-star ones like Past and Future, all that kind of stuff. She is still very much usable without the Lightcone. And another criteria to where you should not summon for a Lightcone is if you do not plan on using her too much. Let's say you're just planning on getting her on the Mono Quantum team and you don't use the Mono Quantum team like all the time. It is definitely something you could skip off of. It definitely becomes something you could skip if you don't plan on using Sparkle a bunch on a bunch of teams. And then you'd probably be better off saving the currency and just giving her another option, being Brody's Lightcone or one of the 4-star options that she has. And so yeah, that is the video talking about if you should and the criteria if you shouldn't summon for Sparkle and her Lightcone. Let me know if you guys are going to be summoning, because I personally will be going for her and her Lightcone because I practically fit into all the criterias that where I should summon. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.